Your dark-spectacled friend has advised me on a more effective method for trolling you. I think his contention is that this strategy will have the opposite of the intended effect and precipitate a sort of bond between us that is established in mutual antagonism. What do you think about this? I think you're shrewd to have recognized his ploy of sabotage, and you've earned my compliments. Ah, see, it is working already. What is? I've listened to his advice and have resolved to modify the approach slightly. I know what I have to do. What we have to do, really. What's that? Remember the first time we spoke? Yes, but you said it wasn't the first time you spoke to me. Will graciously admit my embarrassing skepticism, however. The first time you spoke to me was the second time I spoke to you. This conversation doesn't sound like your first time either. This is your second conversation with me, but is my seventh with you. And when exactly does your maiden encounter take place? That's next time. So, to clarify, if the matching of my first with your second is denoted by 1 to 2, then the sequence would be 1 to 2, 2 to 7, 3 to 1, 4 to... Yes, and the rest of the sequence is simply 4 to 3, 5 to 4, 6 to 5, and 7 to 6. Unless my future self stowed away another conversation in between one of those, which is entirely possible. But, I do not want to think about that. Why is it that when the subject of temporal mechanics is broached, you are sparing control, intellect, etc., etc.? See, that is what I mean, Rose. You are not as dumb of a girl as I was intentionally led to believe. You mean based on the first impression I am apparently about to make in our next conversation? Yes. What could I have possibly said that would leave such an imprint? That is why I have contacted you now. I will send you a copy of our first conversation directly from my chat log. I guess being forced to cooperate with a stable time loop is the only plausible explanation for my remarks. Yes, and then I found it sort of curious that during my next conversation you and your various mental endowments and withdrawals were not as they seemed. I suspected the stratagem might be a counter-trolling measure, but then was not so sure and further examination grew warrant. And what if my counter-measure is to choose not to transcribe this dialogue accurately in the future first place? But see, I have edited the copy already in ways that will remain secret to you for now, but you will discover once you type it. So you are destined to edit it no matter what, and what you submit will be what I once read, regardless. Unless I decide to copy it word for word. Yes, unless I lied about editing it in the first place. Either way, through knowledge of what you will say, I have precisely engineered the nature of your transgression. So your trolling strategy now is to put idiotic words in my mouth through the machinery of temporal inevitability and cause me to excruciate over how to subvert the transgressions? Yes. Well, being perfectly upfront about it, yes, I suppose that sarcasm all the time seems laborious to me. I'll admit, it's a more advanced tactic than I gave you credit for. Yes, and the providence of this antagonism ninja voice grip pinching your larynx has already begun to supply my purpose with fruit. The chilly frost shimmering on our tree of human friendship has begun to thaw. Mixed metaphors aside, usually ninjas don't announce what they're doing when they're doing it, like when stalking an emperor to assassinate him, or befriend him, but that's fine. I guess the only pointless question we haven't exhausted is, why? Why the convoluted artifice? Dave raised insight into the human psychology of friendship development. By allotting you your side of the conversation, I have you at the disadvantage in your view, and you will seek to reclaim the higher ground. In successive conversations, 3 equals 4, and 5 equals 4. And such. Your demeanor will be terse, if not saturated with disdain, and it will cause me to be confused and question your motivation. But now I know your motivation because I am supplying it here and now. They will be simple acts of friendly human retaliation. So you're not only rigging the impression I will make on you, but orchestrating my revenge for the rigging as well? Yes. It seems friendship for some humans is basic aggregation of shallow and insincere hostilities. That's an interesting take on it. But now I know for sure Dave is not behind this plan. It's too complicated. I don't understand. Who better to coordinate such events than the Knight of Time? You're awfully quick to his defense. Are you sure you don't have a thing for him? It's okay, bro. You can admit it. I'm hopping to 8 equals 8. Ideally, we've long since discarded this train of thought. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to my dead cat.